You're listening to Pombo and Peter's Picks, the home of your favorite sports betting podcast. Presented by The Daily Goat.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pombo and Peter's Picks. I'm Jason Pombo, joined as always by Peter Alves. Peter, we got a packed show today, covering a lot of different topics. We're going to be doing our typical NFL stuff. We are going to mix in some World Cup stuff as the quarterfinals are upon us, along with the fact that we are going to bring on Brandon Carr of Roughing the Basket to discuss a little bit of college football. We kind of teased that last week, and we ended up making it official. So he will hop on at the end of the show.
Yeah, we got a lot of sports. We're even talking about soccer, as you said. So
yeah, have you watched the World Cup?
Should be pretty fun.
Have you
I
watched
have
much
actually. Yeah, I watched the U.S. I watched South Korea get destroyed by Brazil. Destroyed.
Do you see them beat
For
Portugal?
It's like 20 minutes. No, I did not, because I thought that they would have just lost. And then Matt texted me, actually. He's like, "Yeah, you're a mortal enemy of Portugal." And I was like, "Wow, did they actually win?" And he's like, "Yeah, Ronaldo even played the first half." And I was like, "Damn," because they were sitting everybody. So I didn't think that.
But South Korea. We'll save the World Cup stuff. But yeah, congrats, Peter, on your victory. It did not ultimately affect Portugal, so I can live with you. I'm not upset with you. Okay, Peter. So let's talk about last Thursday night football between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. And of course, Peter, the Patriots have struggled against Josh Allen and the Bills for ever since I'd say when Tom Brady left. Other than that wind game last year, the Bills have practically had the Patriots number. Coming into the game, the Patriots were unable to make the Bills punt in their last two games. The Patriots thankfully ended that streak, so that's positive. But the game itself was not good for the New England Patriots. They lose 24-10 to the Bills. Josh Allen was 22 of 33 for 223 yards and 2 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs continued to dominate, 7 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Other side of things, the Patriots offense that looked like it was turning the corner against the Vikings practically went back to square one this past Thursday. Mac Jones was 22 of 36, 195 yards and a touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson had 10 carries for 54 yards. And the Patriots' leading receiver was rookie cornerback Marcus Jones. Cornerback.
Yeah, I'm glad that Marcus Jones can do it all. He's a punt returner.
He's
a receiver, a cornerback. I guess he plays all 4 downs. That's a Bill Belichick guy. What's up with that?
So, honest. All right. So with the whole Marcus Jones thing, he's an electric punt returner. I actually when that happened, I was like, you know what? That's like a low key good idea. But that was like my first reaction. And then when he got the touchdown, I was like, oh, damn, that's a great idea. But then I kind of looked at it and I'm like, the Patriots spent a second-round draft pick on Tyquan Thornton, who was the fastest receiver in this past draft class. They traded for Devontae Parker, who was supposedly going to take off the top off the defense and really be that big physical receiver that he was in Miami. And those two additions have not equated to much for this Patriots offense, and it was pretty unfortunate they'd have to rely on a guy like Marcus Jones.
I'll give Tyquan Thornton a free pass, though. He was hurt for, 8 games?
Yeah.
But, it was pretty funny to see. But I feel like the risk is way more than the reward. I mean, that's your second cornerback, I guess. So
probably about third, but yeah.
He gets hurt. I mean, you're going to have to replace your kick returner, punt returner, and your whatever. So
yeah, it's just when you kind of think about it, it's like when you look at this Patriots offense, we've talked about it all season long. And as a whole, the whole operation offensively has not been good. There's very few offensive players that have been better this year than they were last year. I think the only exception might be Ramondre Stevenson, who looks like a legitimate running back in this league, who has, in my opinion, top 5, top 10 running back potential. I think that's on the table for him. Michael Owenu, the guard. Other than that, there's not many bright spots with this Patriots offense. Kendrick Bourne has completely vanished, and I thought he was going to be in the discussion for the number 1 receiver for the Patriots.
Oh, he's in the doghouse now, too.
Yeah, he's in the doghouse. Devontae Parker's practically been a non-factor. Tyquan Thornton was hurt. Like we said, we'll give him a free pass, but ever since that Browns game, he really hasn't been able to get his footing. Jacoby Myers, who has been banged up, he has been a reliable third down option. So, I mean, he's been fine, but I don't know. Offensively, it just has not come together. And to this point, the Patriots at 6-6, and we all have talked about this tough stretch rapidly approaching for the Patriots, and it started 2 Thursdays ago against the Vikings, and it doesn't get any easier. The Patriots' next 4 games are at Arizona, at Vegas, home against the Bengals, and then home against Miami. And then they
Yeah,
conclude the season at Buffalo.
you gotta win them all probably. So
At least
that'll
4-1.
be fun.
At least 4-1. I mean, this team to me, I think they're going to end up going 9-8. I think they probably win 3 of the 5. I just think offensively, it's a real issue for this team. It just really is. I don't really know where they go. I know a lot of people get on Matt Patricia, rightfully so, but it just, to me, it feels like, I'm not saying Matt Patricia isn't the problem, but the offense is a problem. So Matt Patricia's offense is the problem, not necessarily the play calls. You kind of understand what I'm saying? Like, the reason they suck offensively is like the offensive system and the scheme. I don't believe it's like the order of the play calls.
Yeah, I mean, I would fire or maybe even downgrade Matt Patricia
There's
after
no
the
shot.
season.
There's zero shot he's the offensive coordinator next. Well, let me rephrase. If the Patriots don't make the playoffs, which at this point seems like it, I'd put the chances at 40%, maybe
Yeah, way lower than
35%.
that, but yeah.
Um, if they make the playoffs, then I think Patricia's job could get saved. If they don't, then I think you're looking towards a guy like Bill O'Brien. Maybe you're considering a guy like Adam Gase. I don't know. Somebody along those lines. I prefer Bill O'Brien for sure, but I just think, yeah, it's just been offensively, unless the Patriots can flip a switch here, which seems unlikely. I think offensively they're in trouble, which it's just disheartening because they were, I'm not going to say so good against the Vikings game, but they scored 26 points.
And I'm glad that Matt Judon is turning into the second Matt Judon of last year, where he doesn't show up at all. It's pretty good.
He did have a
Rack up
fumble
your
recovery.
sacks. Rack up your sacks in the first half, as you did last year too.
Judon, who was, I believe he was favored to win Defensive Player of the Year last week. Am I wrong?
Yeah, he definitely was.
He definitely was.
And Michael Parsons is no.
Michael Parsons. Where's Judon now? Was he number 2?
He's number 4. Nick
Number 4.
Bosa, Chris Jones, Matt Judon.
Then Judon. All right, Peter. So, Bills, like I said, improved to 9-3 on the year. Patriots fall to 6-6. The Bills, they leaped into first place with the Dolphins' loss. So, do you believe that the Bills are going to round into form and make a serious run at the Chiefs in the AFC?
Yeah, they said I probably cursed them. I was all out on Bills last week, but Josh Allen's going to get more healthy as the year goes on. They're going to get probably a home playoff game because Miami, Tua. Oh my God, Matt, you should be ashamed. That was your one chance and you ruined it. I'm all out on the Dolphins now. But you're going to get a home playoff game probably versus the Jets, probably versus a wild card team. So it's good to see. I mean, it's Bills and Chiefs and nobody else.
Yeah, I still think it's the Chiefs personally. I don't think this Bills team is necessarily putting together all the pieces. They lost Von Miller. He's going to miss some time. And just offensively, I think Josh Allen is probably a tick down than last year, in my opinion. And I think the run game in Buffalo is a real concern, and it's been for years. And
James Cook is looking pretty good
until he fumbles again.
Shout out to Georgia. It's all coming up, Georgia.
Yeah, facts. All right, let's move on here, Peter. Let's talk about the return of Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. So, after his 11-game suspension, Deshaun Watson returned, and you couldn't have scripted it any better. Deshaun Watson's first game back was in Houston against the Texans, and the Browns ended up winning 27-14. The Browns improved to 5-7 on the year to keep their wild card hopes alive, and the Texans, who look poised to land the first overall pick of the draft, fall to 110-1 on the year. Deshaun Watson in his debut game with the Cleveland Browns was 12 of 22 for 131 yards and 1 interception. Other side of things, Kyle Allen was 20 of 39 for 201 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So the Browns do end up winning the game. They scored 27 points, but Deshaun Watson looked sort of like I expected him to. He looked very rusty. And look, after nearly sitting out of football for almost 2 years, what do you expect?
Yeah, I thought that he would have shocked the rust off after the second half, but he looked absolutely abysmal. He had an interception in the end zone. Amari Cooper dropped a ton of balls, but I mean, maybe that's not on Watson, but Watson looked absolutely terrible. But what do you expect? And then the Texans, they have the number 1 pick by 2 games. They're going to pick C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, for sure. Because Kyle Allen isn't the answer either. Davis Mills, sorry, but it is what it is. Texans are terrible. Browns are terrible. But I'm giving him a free pass. Are you still firing Stefanski?
We're gonna see how it finishes out here. I still think that's a distinct possibility. I do. Now, but they are slowly coming back to wild card contention here, so that's beneficial for them. They kind of they turned a corner because what were they before? Have they won 2 in a row or 3 in a row? What was the record before when I kind of got on them?
They probably ripped off some wins.
They were.
They've won 2 in a row. They've won
They've
2
won
in a
2 in a
row.
row. But they previous to that, before they won 2 in a row, they lost. Quick math here. They lost 6 of the last 7 before the 2-game win streak. So
yeah, and you're firing everybody on that team, rightfully so.
I was firing Stefanski, and I still think that's could potentially be in the cards. Could bring somebody that Deshaun Watson wants. So who knows? But yeah, I think I tell you what, we didn't really learn too much in this game. The Texans are kind of out of it already, and the Browns are just kind of looks like they're just going to get to the finish line and then assess and try to knock some rust off of Deshaun Watson so he's ready for 2023. All right, Peter, let's talk about you like ties in football, Peter?
No, I don't. They don't make sense.
Yeah, I'm not a big tie guy either. And we finally got one this year. The Washington Commanders and the New York Giants.
Well, we got one with the Colts.
And the Colts and the Texans. Yes.
Texans.
So this is the second tie of the year. So the Commanders and the Giants concluded their overtime thriller in a tie, 20-20. And there was some playoff implications for this game. And I think there was some strategy showed by Brian Daboll. He would rather take a tie than lose. And instead of you know what I mean, putting your balls on the table and going for it. And the Commanders, with the tie, they moved to 7-5-1 on the year. And the Giants moved to 7-4-1. So the Giants are a half game in front of the Commanders. Both teams are jockeying for playoff positioning. Taylor Heineke was 27 of 41 for 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. Other side of things, Daniel Jones was 25 of 31 for 200 yards and 1 touchdown. So, Peter, what did you learn out of this game? Now, tell you what, let's say, so these teams play each other in 2 weeks, right? Do you have more confidence in Daniel Jones and the Giants going forward or Taylor Heineke and the Commanders?
I like the Commanders because I think they have an overall good team. Chase Young didn't play. I don't know when he's coming back. He was supposed to come back 3 weeks ago, but he still hasn't come back. I like that running game. Brian Robinson is pretty good. Terry McLaurin's obviously a beast. I think they have more pieces than just the Giants with Saquon Barkley, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So they shut down Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's the Giants' whole offense. But I like the tie for both teams. They played the game pretty good, and I think that ultimately it will save them come playoff time because I don't think unless Seattle makes a run, I guess, but
yeah,
I like that for both sides.
It feels like the Commanders are ascending, and it feels like the Giants are descending. The Commanders, of course, had that really slow start when Carson Wentz was the quarterback, and they looked like Ron Rivera. It looked like Ron Rivera was gone, and it just looked like we were mocking the Commanders for trading for Carson Wentz and all that sort of thing, and the Giants were flourishing. Now, it feels like the sides have kind of altered here. The Giants are sort of stumbling a little bit. They're kind of coming back down to earth. Their receiver room is a mess, and they can only get so far with Daniel Jones. I think we both see that there's a ceiling there. And the Commanders with Taylor Heineke, they look exciting. Like you said, Terry McLaurin's getting involved. Robinson's finding his own. And the Commanders look like they are poised here to make an attempt at a wild card, which I thought it was probably unlikely 6 weeks ago. And now I think that they're a better team than the Giants. And I think they have a shot. But I think that tie could end up ultimately saving the Giants at the end.
For sure. I thought Giants were absolute frauds, like I do with 75% of the NFC class. But yeah, I like the Commanders way better than the Giants. Yeah, their defense alone. So
yeah, and Chase Young is, I think, supposed to come back this coming week.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. So.
Yeah, I thought he's coming back week 6, and that did not come to fruition. So,
what is it, like week 14?
Yeah. All right, Peter, let's move on to Matt's Dolphins, and they went to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. This was a big game, right? Dolphins are, of course, scorching hot and along with the San Francisco 49ers. So it was kind of like two Titans clashing at this time. And the 49ers ended up winning the game 33-17. There were ramifications for both sides. We'll get into that in a second, but let's start off with the Dolphins. Tua was 18 of 33 for 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Tyreek Hill had 9 receptions for 146 yards and a touchdown. With the loss, the Dolphins fall to 8-4 on the year and fall back to second in the AFC East. And like we said before, the Buffalo Bills currently lead the AFC East. Other side of things with the San Francisco 49ers, they get the W to improve to 8-4 on the year. But, Peter, it did cost them. Jimmy Garoppolo who was 2 of 4 for 56 yards, got hurt in the game, a severe leg injury. It looks like he had a broken leg. But reports surfaced on Tuesday that it did not require surgery and that he could be back in 7 to 8 weeks. So it looks like Garoppolo is going to be out for the remainder of the regular season and potentially the first 1 to 2 weeks of the playoffs. But if the 49ers make it far enough, they could have Garoppolo back for the divisional to the NFC Championship round. So with Garoppolo going down, the 49ers turn to Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the 49ers quarterback 3 coming into the year. And he looked pretty good. He was 25 of 37 for 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That 49ers offense truly is just so beneficial for quarterbacks. Like we've seen quarterbacks time and time again just go in there and just kind of have some success. And we saw that last Sunday anyway with Purdy. Now, I do think there is some question marks going forward because the Dolphins defense, I believe, is suspect. And I don't know if the 49ers can kind of hang around with Purdy as their quarterback for the rest of the year. What do you think?
Well, I don't think it's a big drop off, to be honest with you, from Purdy to Garoppolo. If the defense can just show up time and time again. I mean, they still have McCaffrey. McCaffrey touched the ball even more than he has in the past. I want the 49ers so bad to make the Super Bowl, and then Garoppolo just comes back for the Super Bowl and wins it for him, and then make hit like that. Oh, that'd be so good.
Tell you what, Peter, I thought like we did our like NFC power rankings a couple weeks ago, and I think the 49ers were like number 2 on my list, and they would have been number 1 if it wasn't for like the Eagles just being like 11-1. And I do think this Garoppolo injury does dampen them a little bit because this kid is a rookie. We're not sure what he's capable of. Kyle Shanahan historically has struggled with quarterbacks outside of Jimmy Garoppolo. Like his record with Jimmy Garoppolo is close to, I believe it's a 600 record, and without Garoppolo, he's like down to like 300, something like that. And so we'll see if Purdy's able to kind of pick up where Garoppolo left off. Garoppolo has been playing well. It looked like he was playing himself into making some legitimate money in 2023, whether that's in San Francisco or not. Ironically enough, before the game on Sunday, there was a report from Adam Schefter that the 49ers would entertain the possibility of keeping Garoppolo in 2023. So that tells you that maybe Kyle Shanahan and Garoppolo made up. They were ready to let bygones be bygones, and they were ready to make a Super Bowl run. And of course, Garoppolo does what he does and gets hurt. And I think that's absolutely a killer for him in terms of his stock in free agency next year and just everything else. I think that hurts a lot because the 49ers, I think, honestly, Peter, where it looked like a team that could go to the Super Bowl.
They still can. I still believe in them, and their price is probably way down after this game anyways. But if you want to talk about the Dolphins, Tua missed the last offensive series. It went to Skylar Thompson, obviously a pick. It's only throw. Maybe they'll go to Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think, in all seriousness, I don't think Tua's hurt, but something to monitor, I guess.
Yeah, they said he was dealing with an ankle, but apparently it wasn't. I feel like he's dealt with an ankle injury a couple times this year. So I guess we'll have to wait on that. But
I think the Dolphins got exposed, though.
I think defensively, I've always felt that they're sort of a middle to bottom league team defensively, and I think that kind of showed in this game. Offensively, I guess the one thing that you could point to is say, well, look, they're playing Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. That's exactly where Mike McDaniels came from. And maybe he was just familiar and he knew what they were going to do. So the Dolphins are in a situation where they have another difficult opponent this week. They play the Chargers, so I think we're going to learn even more again this week because the Dolphins have had a relatively, would you call it a soft schedule the last month or so?
Yeah, after the Vikings, they had the Steelers, the Lions, the Bears, the Browns, the Texans, and then the 49ers.
And it gets tough. So for the rest of the season, they are at the Chargers, at Buffalo, home against the Packers, who have kind of turned a corner here, at New England, and then home against the Jets. So realistically, there's a lot of variables that could happen in each of those games. Like, I don't think they're necessarily gimmies. I think, tell you what, the next 2 games for them, right? I'll say next 3 games, right? At the Chargers, at the Bills, home against the Packers. I think if you're a Dolphins fan, you need them to win 2 of the 3.
Oh, if the Chargers or the Patriots can run the table and knock Miami out of the playoffs.
It is possible.
That would be so good. I don't think it will happen, but that would be so good. Just to watch Matt's soul just like crumble.
Poor Matt. All right, Peter, let's talk about the Monday night football game this week between the Tampa Bay Bucs and the New Orleans Saints. Peter, this was a game which was a very relatively boring game for the first 57 minutes of the game. But Tom Brady, who was down by 13 in this game, orchestrated 2 touchdown drives and, like I said, like a 5-minute span. to put the Bucs over the top to beat the Saints 17-16. The Bucs improved to 6-6 on the year. The Saints fall to 4-9 on the year. Brady was 36-54 for 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And of course, other side of things with Andy Dalton, of course he gets the start, Peter, because he's Andy Dalton. He was 20-28 for 229 yards and a touchdown. So, Peter, this is a big game for the Bucs. Again, they continue to lead the NFC South, and this was a game that looked really bad for Tampa Bay for most of it. There was a lot of people questioning Todd Bowles' job status, me included. It just looked Tom Brady was frustrated. It looks like he was like that one sequence where Todd Bowles elected a punt and Brady didn't get off the field. And then like they kind of just stared at each other and eventually Brady just gave in. Like it just seemed very, very disconnected and sloppy. But Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does best, and that's win games in the fourth quarter. And he orchestrated another 2 clinical fourth quarter drives. And I have to say that was super impressive by Tom Brady, who has clearly been frustrated this year, whether it's with the coaching, the playing around him, the offensive line, whatever the situation, whatever you want to call it. Tom Brady's been frustrated this year, and that was a big win for this Bucs team.
Yeah, I just want to note this game because obviously Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does. You saw this 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago versus the Rams, and you see it again. Tom Brady can do Tom Brady things, and it sucks that the Falcons couldn't win. Obviously, the Saints couldn't get it done. Nobody wants that division. It's just the Bucs and nobody else.
Yeah,
it's honestly so sad.
I don't think it's over though because the Bucs do have a difficult schedule. They are at San Francisco this coming week. I understand Garoppolo's hurt, like we just described, but at San Francisco, home against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, at Arizona, and they finished the year off home against Carolina and at Atlanta. That could come, I bet you, in my opinion,
I'm telling you
come
that,
down
yeah,
at Atlanta. Yeah,
that Falcons game is going to be Sunday Night Football for the division.
Yeah, I don't necessarily rule that out at all because I've been preaching for a while the Bucs are a 9-10 win team. So I'll just give you my opinion on it. I think they're probably going to lose at San Francisco to fall to 6-7. I'm going to say they split. They either win against the 49ers or win against the Bengals. They're going to win one and lose one. They're going to go to 7-7. They'll beat Arizona 8-7. They'll beat Carolina 9-7, and then it's going to come down to that at Atlanta game, which I think they'll probably win to move to 10-7. But I don't know. Who knows? This offense is super inconsistent.
Yeah, that's all the way around. Their defense is consistent. Their offense, as you said.
The coaching is inconsistent.
Coaching should have been fired 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it is what it is. It's the Bucs, and we're all just living in it. Don't be surprised when they make the Super Bowl and probably win the Super Bowl just because of the Bucs.
Guess you can never rule that thing out, right? All right, and one last game, Peter, that I want to get to here is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. This was a game in which Joe Burrow showed some swagger. He showed, tell you what, this might have been Joe Burrow's best game of the season, in my opinion. The Bengals ended up beating the Chiefs 27-24. The Bengals improved to 8-4 on the year, and the Ravens fall. Not the Ravens. I'm sorry, and the Chiefs fall to 9-3 on the year. Joe Burrow was 25 of 31 for 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. Samaje Perine, who continues to fill in for Joe Mixon, continues to produce. He had 21 carries for 106 yards. Jamar Chase, in his return, had 7 receptions for 97 yards on 8 targets. Other side of things with the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes was 16 of 27 for 223 yards and 1 touchdown. Look, I think the Bengals came in here with a great game plan, and this was a big win for them. It feels like the Bengals are in the Chiefs' head. That was one of my takeaways, that I feel like a lot of it's a mental block for the Chiefs against the Bengals because it feels like they controlled the possession a lot, and it's a big win for them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're in their head. They lost the AFC Championship game last year. They couldn't get it done. They can't get it done here. It's minor hiccup for the Chiefs, though. It's not good to see it's versus the Bengals, probably your third most competition in the AFC. But it's good to see. I mean, Jamar Chase coming back. That's what Jamar Chase does. You don't need Joe Mixon. Chiefs are held in check for the most part. Nobody broke off. Do you like that field goal attempt, though? 4th and 7 and like.
Yeah, I mean that's the one that everyone's talking about. It's up for debate, and I guess tell you what, it's difficult. I mean, I probably tend to disagree. What do you think?
No, I mean, I like it just because it was 55 yards. You have Patrick Mahomes. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
It's tough. It's tough either way you slice it. But all those games against these firing offenses, you got to get points. So I guess that from that standpoint, it makes sense. And one last thing that I'm going to connect the Bengals to. So the Bengals have kind of been on a rip. They're now 8-4. and they look poised to make a wild card appearance. Or, Peter, I think the division is still up in the air because Lamar Jackson is going to miss the next 1 to 3 weeks with a PCL sprain. And I would, again, not a doctor, but I would look at the tea leaves and say Lamar Jackson's probably going to miss 3 weeks, not 1 week, because of his contract status. I'm sure he's going to be extra careful. And you look at it, right? The Bengals and the Ravens have the same record now. So it feels like it's just going to come down to the end here. And so let's say that Lamar Jackson misses the next 3 weeks here, Peter, right? So the Ravens are 8-4. So this week they are at Pittsburgh, tough place to play, at Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, which is a whole new animal, and then home against the Falcons. Those are 3 difficult games. I'm not saying they're going to go 0-3, but if they go 1-2, like they could end up losing the division.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's been a crapshoot ever since he was lit the world on fire, though. I don't think he's been good for like a month and a half, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it feels like there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, and the Bengals' schedule down the stretch is a slog fest. Bucs,
Yeah.
Patriots, Bills, Ravens.
Yeah, so
That could be it for the division, though.
And Tyler Huntley has showed that he can come in and play well enough. So we'll see if he's able to execute these next 2 to 3 weeks here. And but yeah, you're right. This Ravens offense hasn't necessarily looked like themselves. Maybe it's just how I'm looking at it with the blown fourth quarter leads. Like maybe I just keep thinking about that.
And if you only can, if you can beat the Raiders, the Broncos, they're literally the same team. But the Broncos by 1 point, you should be exiled.
Yeah,
only scoring 10 points.
For real. But yeah, I think that division is worth paying attention to, I would say. Before it wasn't, but the Ravens have come back down to earth, and the Bengals have sort of soared. Joe Burrow looks good, man. He looks like I feel like a lot of people have debated who's going to be better, who's better, Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. And I've always been sort of Team Burrow on that, and I'm going to continue to, I think this season,
sure.
For even proves it further. Justin Herbert has all the talent in the world, Peter, and I know you picked them to get to the Super Bowl, but it hasn't necessarily translated to victories. I know the Chargers have had injuries and all that sort of thing, but Joe Burrow, nothing phases this guy.
Yeah, Chargers haven't made the playoffs. Justin Herbert. Joe Burrow has. Joe Burrow has made the Super Bowl in the second year. Justin Herbert missed the playoffs in the second year.
Yeah,
so it is what it is.
All probability. Yeah, in all probability, I think Herbert's probably going to miss it this year. Like I think the Chargers are not going to end up in it. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But yeah, you're right. I think Joe Burrow has clearly showed from having a bad offensive line, sticking through it, dealing with Zach Taylor, who I still think is sort of overrated, dealing with an undermanned defense. And I understand he has Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, like he has the necessary offensive pieces. But I just feel like he's got some balls, he has some moxie, and he's a kind of guy that I think a lot of people would probably consider to be the best young quarterback right now in the NFL in terms of he's like under 25.
Yeah, probably. I don't know how old Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes is. But...
Mahomes is older than that. I believe I'll look up Allen's age. Allen, I believe, is 26.
Yeah, then I totally agree with that.
Yeah, Allen's 26 and Burrow Burrow would also be 26, but I don't think so. I think Burrow's 24.
Zach Taylor's
Burrow's 25. Burrow's actually going to be 26 in 4 days.
Happy birthday, January Joey. But no, Zach Taylor to you is going to be like Mike McCarthy. He's going to stick around forever.
Yeah. If
Joe Burrow's a quarterback, because I don't think, unless he gets hurt, they're not going to be bad at all, ever.
Yeah, and the Bengals the Bengals franchise has showed that they can sometimes be inept. So I wouldn't be surprised if Burrow eventually gets fed up. Trust me, it could happen.
I guess. But I mean, if you keep Jamar Chase around.
For sure. Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why they made that draft pick was, hey man, like we're backing you. All right, Peter, let's start off with the AFC side of things. So the number 1 seed in the AFC right now is the Buffalo Bills. Believe it or not, the Bills are 9-3 right now, and they moved all the way up to first place with their win against the Patriots, and the Dolphins lost. The number 2 seed is the Kansas City Chiefs. They ended up, like we just said, lost to the Bengals. They're the number 2 seed. Number 3 seed is the Ravens, 8-4. Number 4 seed is the Titans at 7-5. Number 5 seed is the Bengals at 8-4. Number 6 seed is the Dolphins, 8-4. And number 7 seed would be the Jets at 7-5 after their loss against the Vikings. And on the outside looking in, right now is the Patriots sitting just outside at 6-6, and the Chargers sitting just outside at 6-6. So, Peter, it looks different compared to last week in the AFC. Any changes that you foresee changing for this upcoming week?
Not really. I mean, unless they, as I said last week, just go back to Zach Wilson. I think they'll stay the same. Tennessee's locked in on the 4 seed because that division is even worse than the NFC South. But I don't know. Tennessee is going to be a first round playoff exit for sure. They haven't beat anybody actually real.
So again, if the playoffs started tomorrow in the AFC, the Jets would be playing the Chiefs. The Ravens would be playing the Dolphins. That's a rematch from earlier. That'd be a good game. And the Titans against the Bengals.
Yeah, rip to the
Titans. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the NFC side of things. The Eagles, of course, are the number 1 seed in the NFC at 11-1. 2 seed is the Vikings. They're 10-2, Peter. My Minnesota Vikings are 10-2. Now, you know what, Peter? They might not get to the Super Bowl, but I feel like I'm vindicated because they've had a great year.
They're so frauds.
10-2, baby. 10-2. Number 3 seed is the San Francisco 49ers at 8-4. We'll see if that changes with the loss of Jimmy Garoppolo. The 4 seed is the Bucs. Tom Brady and the Bucs are 6-6. The 5 seed is the Cowboys at 9-3. The 6 seed is the Giants at 7-4-1, and the 7 seed is the Seattle Seahawks at 7-5. The Commanders sit just outside at 7-5-1. And then I'll throw in the Detroit Lions also at 5-7, and the Falcons at 5-8. Packers are also 5-8. I'll throw them in there too. But my takeaway here is, Peter, that wild card is going to be a duel between the Seahawks, Commanders, and Giants. 2 or 3 are going to get in.
Yeah, for sure. I think ultimately the Giants are going to get out. Actually, maybe not with the tie anymore. But tight. Washington is definitely going to get in, I think. It is very tight. NFC is very tight. It's very top heavy because they're all frauds, but it is what it is. No, they're literally all frauds. Philadelphia hasn't beat anybody. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins will throw up. San Francisco, they don't grapple anymore. Tampa Bay's offense is terrible. Dallas is actually really, really good. Giants have Daniel Jones. Seattle has Geno Smith. And then Washington has Washington, I guess. But
there's so many flaws in every team. Like, it feels like all year we've been waiting for the Eagles to kind of come back down to earth. That hasn't happened yet. You've already talked about my Vikings, and the Bucs are, of course, having a tough year. So who knows? I feel like it's going to be. Tell you what, the
NFC too is going to win the Super Bowl. Whoever it is, yeah, it's just one of those years. It's just going to be.
And I have a take on the Eagles. The Eagles are either going to get out of the NFC and get to the Super Bowl, or they're going to lose in the first round. That's my prediction.
Probably.
It's something like that, in my opinion. But everything seems to be lining up their way. Other teams have kind of tripping over each other, gotten hurt, whatever you want to call it. This is the Eagles' conference to lose. And if they don't make the Super Bowl, it's very, very much an underachievement, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Peter, want to get into our picks?
Let's do it.
All right. You want to lead off?
My first pick is the Ravens plus 2.5 versus the Steelers. I think the whole world, this is a common theme with my picks. I think the whole world wants you to pick the Steelers minus 2.5, but it's still going to be a divisional game. I like their backup quarterback. I think Lamar Jackson's been in trash for like 6+ weeks. I think it'll be closer than people think. Don't be surprised if the Ravens win.
Boom. All right, my first pick, Peter. I'm going to go with Titans minus 3.5. They're hosting the Jaguars. The Titans are coming off one of their worst losses of the year against the Eagles, in which they pretty much got outplayed at every facet of the game. And also the Titans, they fired their general manager on Tuesday, John Robinson. It's unclear why. The timing is definitely obscure. But one thing that I kind of took away from it is Mike Vrabel is going to have more power within the organization. That's a sidebar. But I feel like the Titans, under Mike Vrabel, they really bounce back after losses. And I think this Jaguars team is just simply a year or two out. I understand they've had some nice wins this year, but I like the Titans here minus 3.5.
They should have fired him.
That's my premium pick of the week. That's my premium pick.
There you go. They should have traded him, right? I mean, fired him right after they traded AJ Brown for literally nothing. But that's another.
Why would you fire him now? It makes very little sense to me. I mean, some people are speculating, did something happen off the field? Or, in my opinion, I think it is that there was a big dispute between Mike Vrabel and Robinson. Again, just totally speculation. And the owner had to pick one. He picked Vrabel, which is the right answer. But again, John Robinson, he's a great GM. When he was with the Patriots in the personnel department, he was awesome. And he has identified it. I know he didn't pay AJ Brown, but he identified AJ Brown. He's identified a lot of that team for the Titans. He hired Mike Vrabel. He's had like 6 consecutive winning seasons.
Should go to the Colts. Go to the Colts.
Yeah, but they have Chris Ballard. I don't know if they're gonna blow him up, but
go to the Colts. They pay nobody. All right, my next pick is the Chargers plus 3.5. Mark my words, if they don't cover the spread, this will be the last time I pick the Chargers. I need them to win. The first thing you're sorry, Dolphins, Matthew. They're on Sunday Night Football, which I didn't know until
It's a big game.
yesterday.
A lot of
It is
playoff
a big game.
implications.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
My next pick, Peter, I'm going to go with the Giants +7 against the Eagles. Giants are hosting the Eagles. I like the Eagles to win the game, but I think the Giants cover in this game. The Giants are coming off that tie. Eagles are coming off that big win against Titans. I like the Eagles. I'm sorry, I like the Giants +7 in a game that's decided by a field goal.
Next pick, I like the Lions -2.5. The spread actually makes no sense. How the Vikings are underdogs.
You have any conspiracy theories on that one?
I don't know. The Lions offense looks like a juggernaut, I guess, and the Vikings defense a little suspect. But I mean, the Vikings could put up points too. But I mean, Vegas wants you to pick the Vikings +2.5 so bad. So I'm gonna just be the other side.
Yeah, it's very interesting. That line makes no sense to me. I know the Lions had a nice win and all that, and the Vikings have, I don't want to say got lucky the last couple of weeks, but I've kind of.
But like the Lions are 4-7, and the Vikings are 10-2. They've beaten the Patriots and the Jets and like everybody, the Bills
you look at Minnesota's last 3 games. I'm not calling it lucky, but they've kind of. You had that game against the Bills where they kind of they made some plays, but they had some breaks. The game against the Patriots on Thanksgiving, that was the Hunter Henry play, a little bit of a break. This past week against the Jets, Mike White throws a touchdown pass to Braxton Berrios and he drops it, a little bit of a break. So maybe that's sort of what they're going with. For me,
but the Lions have faced, I mean the Bills, but like the Giants and the Jaguars and the Bears.
Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah. No, you're right. My next one, Peter, I'm going to roll with the Chiefs -9 against the Denver Broncos. Chiefs. Again, that was a tough loss they had against the Bengals, but I like them to bounce back against a Broncos offense that is pretty what's the word you would describe him?
Inept, slow.
Inept, slow,
neutral.
Hate their quarterback, whatever, like all of
Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs to roll into Denver and wax them by like 2 to 3 scores.
Son, I think, is going to be out too, which is good for you.
I'm shocked you didn't pick this. Shocked.
No, the Ravens burned me. So last week.
Yeah, you told me you're like, can't miss. Easy bet on the board.
No, it theoretically it should have been. All right, my next pick is the Raiders -6 versus the Rams. The Rams just picked up Baker Mayfield. I don't know if he's going to start. That's usually a bad sign all the way around. It's a lost season. Matthew Stafford is put on IR. He's not returning until week 17. He's not returning. Cooper Kupp's not returning. Raiders have won 3 in a row. Sneaky coming off the rear. Right for the Patriot game.
All those Josh McDaniel haters have gotten quiet the last 3 weeks. But nobody wants to talk about the Josh McDaniels just beat Justin Herbert in the Chargers.
They're coming, though. No one
wants to talk about
our Patriot game.
Yep. No one wants to talk about that Josh Jacobs is turning himself into he's been a top 5 running back this year. We talked about it last week. Devontae Adams has figured out this offense. Derek Carr seems to be figuring out this offense. And fire McDaniels, though, he sucks, right? He sucks. I'd rather have Nathaniel Hackett than McDaniels. He sucks. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I never said that.
Good pick, Peter.
I never said that.
Good pick. My next pick is going to be, I'm going to take the under in the Bucs 49ers game. The total is very, very, very low, and I'm still liking the under. Total's 37.5, and I still like the under. I'm not convinced that the Bucs offense is going to be able to put up more than 17 points in this game. And the 49ers, look, they have a third-string quarterback, rookie, Mr. Irrelevant. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I like the under 37.5. So
I'm surprised that's not Sunday Night Football.
Well, actually, yeah, you're right. Maybe that was one of those that Fox kind of
protected, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, my premium pick of the week is the Bengals -6 versus the sorry Browns. If Deshaun Watson looks like that, yikes. Divisional game, Bengals should get up on that game. I think Bengals are going to blow them out.
Oof. My next pick, and don't forget that the Browns blew out the Bengals on Halloween 2 months ago, so Bengals are sure wanting revenge.
Revenge game.
But my next pick, I'm going to go over 53. Now, this is a high over, and I'm going with it. Vikings and Lions, the game that you just talked about, Peter. I like the over in this game. I think it's going to be a lot of points defensively. It feels like these teams are really not where they're supposed to be, so I think it's going to be a shootout, like a 30-27 game, something like that.
Yeah, I like it. They should put up points for sure. Jameson Williams came back last week, too. Good to see.
Yeah. I'm glad he's finally. I loved him in college, so I'm excited to see really what he can do. All right, Peter. So, I want to talk a little bit of World Cup.
Rest of World Cup. Congratulations, Portugal.
Thank you, Peter. So Peter, let's talk. So look, we're now in the elimination stages, right? So let's review how our group predictions pan out. So,
Oh, great.
no,
Oh
all right,
no.
Peter. So
Oh no.
we'll review your first because you actually have no idea what you picked and stuff. So Group A, you had Netherlands to win at -280. So that
Hey, nice. They're in the
you were
quarterfinals.
right. Check mark. Group B, you had Wales +500. Wales did
Oh,
not
right.
qualify. They did not. No, wrong. So you're one
They
of
got
two.
last, didn't they?
I believe they did get yes, yes.
Nice.
Group C, you had Argentina -280.
Go
Good
Messi.
pick. That looked a little scary for a minute because Argentina, remember they lost that first game against who was it against? I forgot. Mexico, someone. They lost. And I was a little worried for you. I was like, oh, Peter. I wonder if but Peter, again, you were right on that one. Okay, next one, Peter, for group. What did I just say? Group C, right? Group D, you
Yeah,
had
that was
France -225. That was a layup, and I'm glad you took that one. Group E is the next one. Peter had Germany at +115. Germany did not qualify for the next round, which was a surprise. So I'm not really going to get on you too much. And then Peter's best pick, arguably on this podcast, like I'm not even joking. He had Morocco to win the group at +800.
Hey, and they're facing
Morocco
Portugal in the
won Morocco
quarterfinals.
won the freaking group, outlasting Croatia and Belgium, and they just beat Spain today. Spain on Tuesday to qualify for a quarterfinal match against Portugal on this coming Saturday. So Peter, +800. Where's your ticket? That one is a dude. That's
Where's
a
my
good
ticket?
pick.
Oh, listen, if Morocco. All right, well, I can't root against Morocco for your sake, but if they make the finals, oh, you know that's going Vegas all
Good,
in.
good for you, Peter. And then my next for you, you had Group G. You had Brazil at -300 layup,
Hell yeah.
and
Oh, I
then
didn't do that bad.
no, and then Group H, you had South Korea +1100. South Korea did qualify, but they did not win the group.
That was a bad pick. I said on the start it was Portugal, but my heart said South Korea.
Yeah.
I'll take an L on that one though.
All right, let's review mine here. Group A, I had Netherlands -280. Got that one right. Group B, I had England -280. Got it right. Group C, Argentina -280. Got it right. Group D -225. France. Got it right. And then Group E, I also picked Germany. We were wrong on that one together. Group F, I was wrong as well. I had Belgium, and they, of course, your Morocco. Hats off.
Nice.
Group G, I had Brazil -300. Got that right. And then Group H, I had Portugal -145.
So do you have a ticket for? I know you picked England to win the whole thing, right?
I do not have a ticket for England.
Do you have a ticket for Portugal? Oh, you have a ticket for Portugal.
I
Oh,
do
you
not.
finally.
I
Oh,
don't.
you
No,
don't
I
have
don't. I don't have a ticket for Portugal.
Do you have a ticket for anybody?
No, I don't have a ticket for anyone. I had the Portugal Patriots parlay.
Oh, okay. All right. That did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're now. I know, unfortunate. But let's review here the quarterfinals, Peter. And they start on Friday. So it's Brazil, Croatia. Who you like?
No, Brazil's gonna kill him, right?
Okay, so you're picking Brazil.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, Netherlands, Argentina. Who you like?
Argentina.
Okay, all right. So, okay, so then Brazil, Argentina. Who do you like?
Argentina.
Okay, Morocco, Portugal. Who do you like?
Morocco. No, Portugal. Portugal.
Okay,
Portugal. Portugal.
and then England, France. Who do you like?
England, right? England's better than France,
That's
I
a
think.
tough game. That's France. France will be favored in that game.
No. I'll
Who are
pick
you taking?
England
England.
for
Okay,
you. Yeah.
and then England. All right, England, Portugal. Who are you taking?
Portugal. Oh, I want Argentina, Portugal in the
Hey,
finals.
that would be something.
Oh, bad.
I'll give you my opinion here. I'll take Brazil over Croatia. I'm going to take Argentina over Netherlands, but I'm taking Brazil over Argentina. I'm taking Portugal over Morocco.
Shocker.
I'm taking England over France. And then for the sake of my bracket, because this is what I had, I'm going to take England over Portugal, which I hope does not happen. And then I'm taking England over Brazil to win the whole thing. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see if there is going to be an upset or two because Morocco's, of course, heavy underdog. Croatia's going to be a heavy underdog. Netherlands, heavy underdog. But England-France is a legit great game. That's a very good game. So I think it's been a pretty good World Cup, Peter. South Korea, like we said, made it to past the group stage. So that was good.
Yeah, I don't think that they're done that, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So we shall see, Peter, the next time we speak. on this podcast. We can talk about the semifinals.
Then
Actually,
we got to talk about the semifinals and final because whatever the
yes.
final is, I'm gonna bet on whatever. Unless Portugal's in it, I'm gonna bet on the minority. I'm gonna just be that guy and just pick it.
But in the underdog,
You're just gonna get pissed. I'm gonna ask what he's gonna pick if it's not like Portugal and the thing,
Mhm.
and then he's gonna be like, I'm gonna pick like Argentina, and I'm gonna pick the other two just to root for the other
Portugal, Argentina is still in play, but I don't know. Brazil looks super tough. I tell you what, if I didn't make, all right, let me give you my quote unquote rankings throughout the tournament so far. I think Brazil has shown they're the best team as of this point.
Yeah, for sure.
France is number 2 for me. I go England 3, Argentina 4, Portugal 5. I think that's how I would like rank them just from like past performances.
Really, Argentina struggled versus Australia.
They did, but you're right. And Portugal they just won 6-2. You're right. Let me flip flop. I'll go Portugal 5, 4, Argentina 5. But Brazil has been awesome. That's a tough team.
Brazil killed South Korea in the first like 20 minutes, like 2-0. I was like, all right, can turn this off.
Yep. And quickly here, we were absolutely our award picks weren't even close. Like, I don't even know who, but like I know we weren't even close. Like,
yeah, I can tell you anybody I picked. It is what it is.
Yeah, it did not end well. But our group picks were pretty good. I think you were 5 of 8 and I was 6 of 8.
Yeah.
So I think we did pretty well. To say you did what, Peter? You beat Morocco. Pick the podcast.
You know what the odds were on that?
Plus 800.
Oh, nice. Should have bet that in real life.
Peter, if you would have bet, let's say, whatever certain amount on each group, you would have still made your money with Morocco.
For sure. Damn.
I wonder what their odds were to get to the quarterfinals. I don't think we're able to find that information at this point, but
they're plus 3,500 to win the whole thing.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't think to win the whole thing, but hey, who knows? All right, Peter, want to talk some college football?
Let's do it. Shout out the Carr.
All right, so as we teased earlier, we're going to bring on now Brandon Carr of Roughing the Basket. We've had Carr on a lot for college football, NFL, and look, it's an important time in college football. The college football playoff is upon us. The committee has released the top 4 that made the college football playoff. And before we let Carr on here, let me just review here. Georgia is the number 1 seed. They are minus 125 to win the whole thing. Then it is Michigan at plus 290. They are number 2. TCU at plus 1,600, who's number 3. And then Ohio State is the number 4 at plus 360. So we're going to see a matchup of Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. So without further ado, Carr, did the committee get it right?
I think they did. First of all, thanks for having me on, guys. Of course, love being on Pombo and Peter's picks. But yeah, I think they did get it right. I know big controversy was kind of like TCU. They lost their conference championship game, obviously, to Kansas State. But I think they still deserve to get in based on the fact that they beat Kansas State earlier this season. And like other than that, they've, won every single game. And I just think, I like Alabama. I know that was a big thing. Like, should Alabama get in? But they have 2 losses. Nick Saban was pushing hard for that. I saw a couple of videos of him talking to the media about it. But I think they got it right. I think this is the correct way I would have done it. And I'm just excited because I think we have some pretty good matchups coming up.
So we cursed Alabama, right? All of us, right? For sure.
Yeah.
I had them winning. I don't know what.
I also did.
Yeah. So
I had Ohio State winning the national championship, I think.
I think you did too.
Yeah.
But
Peter, you might have had that too.
Yeah, you picked Ohio. Yeah, you picked Ohio State because yes, you did. Yeah, I know why you picked Ohio State. Yeah, I picked Bama. Bama, but we all had the same matchup. We all had Bama, Ohio State. I'm going to agree with Carr. I think the committee got it right. But I have to say, Bama was very, very close of getting in. There was a lot of teams that stumbled in front of them that had some missed opportunities here. USC, I think chief among them, that loss in the Pac-12 championship against Utah ended up being their flaw. Clemson kind of stumbled down the stretch as well. And look, TCU did, but TCU did not fail enough. TCU, of course, lost in the Big 12 championship. But if they would have lost previously, they would have been out, in my opinion. It probably would have been Bama. Ohio State ends up getting in as the number 4 seed after their loss against Michigan a couple weeks back. And look, I know a lot of people have kind of been crapping on Ohio State, but if you take away that Michigan game, I know you can't take it away, but Ohio State's been dominant. They have been absolutely one of the top 4 teams in the country. So I think the committee got it right. So, Carl, before we kind of pick about who we like and all that sort of thing, I'm going to take a general sort of synopsis of the college football season. As a whole, do you think it was the biggest surprise this college football season? You can say team, player, however you want to go about it.
I mean, I know we just talked about TCU. I don't even know what their preseason odds were to make the college football playoff, but I mean, this is the first time in a long time we've seen them kind of be relevant. You think about USC and like how quick they were able to really make an impact with Lincoln Riley in his first season. I remember when we were talking about it before the college football season started on this show, and I think we're all kind of in agreement that like I don't think that they're going to get it, be able to make this big run early. Like they think they still need time, but clearly they are doing a lot of great things over there. And they're going to be a program that is going to be in that discussion for the college football playoff for every single year, probably with Lincoln Riley there. But yeah, I think those are some of my biggest surprises. Think about like Tulane, like they're a team that ended up being ranked this season. I don't think a lot of people thought that. Yeah, I think that would be my biggest surprises so far.
Peter, what do you think?
Can I say Bryce Young? Because I don't think
Sure, you can say a player. I don't care.
All right,
that'd be a disappointment. That's not a surprise. We're saying positive.
Yeah, I got some.
No, I mean that's a surprise. I thought he was gonna light the world on fire though.
Okay, so Peter just twisted the question. That's okay. My
biggest. I bring the funnies in the college football segments.
My biggest surprise was probably, of course, TCU. You can't ignore them by any stretch of the imagination. I also think USC sort of arrived a year earlier than I anticipated. I did not necessarily think that they were going to be in the college football playoff discussion. I thought they'd win like 9 wins this year and kind of look to 2023 to really make their mark, but they absolutely stretched in a year early. So I think that ended up being pretty beneficial for them. But yeah, I mean, those are the two that kind of jump off the page for me.
I got one more.
Well,
I'm going to also throw Tennessee in there, I think.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good one, too.
Yeah, they were, I don't think a lot of people saw this big of a jump coming from them. And I mean, they were right in the thick of things, but then they had a couple big losses, notably to South Carolina, and they kind of fell flat and kind of squandered their playoff chances. But Tennessee was electric this season. Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, who probably will win the Blitnikoff Award this year. Like, they were lighting the world on fire. So I got to throw them in there.
All right. Biggest disappointments. Peter, I guess we'll say Bryce Young is your biggest surprise and biggest disappointment.
I'm trying to look. What team did I pick for the 4th spot?
You picked like Arizona or Houston or something.
You picked like some.
I'm trying to find their record. Obviously, they did not come anywhere close.
Yes. Well, Peter looks for that. My biggest disappointment, it's Texas A&M.
Yep.
Texas A&M, It has to be number 1. Going in the preseason poll, they were ranked number 6. And wow, Jimbo Fisher, he talked a lot this offseason, and he did not back it up at all. Nope. Like not even a little bit. Again, I think they were 2-6 in conference. And look, they were just awful all season long, and they finished 5-7. They did not even qualify for a bowl. I also consider Arkansas another one that I was a little disappointed with. They were 6-6, but they looked like they had a pretty good year the year before. I think they won 8 games the year before, and I was expecting big things from the quarterback Jefferson over there. It didn't really necessarily develop, so I was a little disappointed with them as well. Yeah, I would say those are the 2 teams, in my opinion, that were substantial disappointments. Texas A&M, I mean, that's just chief among them. And then one more, I'm going to throw one more, is Oklahoma, who I thought would be knocking on the door a little bit.
I agree with all 3 of those. I mean, Texas A&M had an unbelievable recruiting class coming into this year, and there was a lot of hype with Jimbo Fisher and that squad. But I mean, losing to Appalachian State, they lost to, I'm looking up their schedule right here. Mississippi State lost to Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida, Auburn. Like they had a stretch of games where they lost like 5 in a row. Just really abysmal. Even UMass for like a half was in the game. Like,
what do you think is the reason for that? Do you believe that the recruiting class just wasn't necessarily ready? Do you think Jimbo Fisher kind of talked too much and he didn't necessarily back it up? Like, what did you think kind of went wrong? Was it more offense, defense, kind of combination?
Combination of things. I think quarterback too. Like they didn't really have a great quarterback this season. I didn't think they were shuffling through guys at some points too, and I don't know. It was just a really weird. It was a surprising development to see Texas A&M fall flat like that in that fashion. big year next year for them. They're going to have to really show that they're about it, and they're going to have to turn this thing around. In terms of like some other teams that we haven't mentioned, like Miami, I think I think they had a lot of buzz. You know, Mario Cristobal, new head coach, and
Spent a lot of money on him.
a lot of money on him. So, you know, he has some time, but you know, you're hoping that they can turn things around. I mean, you think about the U fans, like they expect great football teams year in and year out, and you know, this season was not a great product for them.
Yeah, and Oregon. Look, Oregon had a better year when Cristobal left. I think Oregon won 10 games, right? Or
Yep.
9 or 10 wins, and
They were good.
yeah, and it looks like that Oregon sort of soaring. It looks like Miami, who it's a program that we've all been waiting for to necessarily take that next step. Feels like for the last 20 years, and it really hasn't necessarily gotten there.
Right.
And yeah, definitely, if you're a Miami fan, like you're just still kind of sitting there, like really, like we're still can't figure this thing out.
Yeah.
So was it Was it Wisconsin?
No,
Was
it
it-
was like I think it was Houston. I'm convinced it was
Houston?
Houston.
It was definitely Houston, which I think their record wasn't that great either. It could be wrong. Yeah, they were 7-5.
I said they're gonna like run the table.
And they had a
I
winning.
think.
They had a winning
Yeah.
record. It could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse. It's true. But they were like a team I think people were kind of like sleeping on before the season, but didn't come true.
Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, sorry, Peter.
Got him next year. I'll
Hey,
I'll
hey.
find a TCU or a Cincinnati.
Hey, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a great season.
Yes.
They're
Gonna win the
Heisman pick. He's a Bolitnikoff finalist. So
There we
shout
go.
out.
There we go.
Yep.
You didn't.
Better than-
You didn't
better than
poison.
ukulele.
You poisoned
Yep.
him. He's transferring, right? I think.
Yep. He's in the transfer portal. So
Jeez, sorry,
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah.
But look, you got one, and Peter, I know you like Ohio State a lot, so that'll help you.
definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about the playoff here. We kind of talked about it before. It's going to be Georgia against Ohio State, and then Michigan against TCU. So, Peter, in that first matchup, Georgia Ohio State. If you were to pick right now, who do you got in that one?
I'm gonna pick Ohio State. Shocker.
Shocker. So surprised.
No.
I wasn't surprised.
How is Georgia won again? Like, didn't they lose everybody on the defense? Everybody on defense.
Man,
they're
they're
turning
a
into a
unit.
dynasty.
yeah.
They are. Like you know, we talk about Alabama being a factory in terms of these players, but I mean Georgia like basically reloaded their defense, and like they brought back like their best defensive player who's going to probably go top 5 overall in this year's draft. Like they're just great. They
They're a
have a
wagon.
lot of good players.
Yeah. Not saying Alabama's dead or anything like that. I know this is the first
I don't
time.
think so.
This is the first time in 8 years that Alabama and Clemson, either or, did not qualify for the college football playoff, which is
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
But I think Georgia is a team that we can kind of pencil in that tier. To me, anyway, Georgia is sort of on the college football like pendulum. To me, anyway, they're right up there at the top. Should be considered with absolutely everybody. They can play with anybody, and I think they look poised to repeat. And that's why I am taking them to beat Ohio State. Ohio State's a team that, look, I really like, and that loss against Michigan, I'm sure, was demoralizing. Offensively, I think Ohio State, look, they have weapons. Quarterback position, they got it, but Georgia's defense is just tough, man. It's just so tough. I like Georgia. And Peter, what's the total for that game? Do you have that?
I'll look that up.
That's good.
I'm
This
curious
is-
what it is.
To give like my take on this, I mean, I'm going to pick Georgia to win, but this is going to be a great test for CJ Stroud. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he'll match up against the Georgia Bulldogs defense that has a lot of NFL guys, and see how he kind of plays in this game. Because this could be, if he wins this game, I mean, that, you know, we're
That's
debating
huge.
that number 1 overall pick, like, you know, that could be a really good case for him.
Georgia
Um,
is -6.5 favorites, and the over/under is 61.
Oh, I would take the under in that personally.
61, yeah.
That seems like a lot. I like Georgia's defense, but
And
I don't
Stetson Bennett, I mean, last
he's,
game
he's the
played
Heisman
was-
finalist.
Yeah, last game he played, I think he threw like 5 touchdowns or
Yeah.
something. So I mean, like Georgia's offense can definitely get going when there's days where they look kind of flat and they kind of get into these closer games, low scoring games. But there's times when their offense is on, and last week they were definitely on. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right, and Michigan TCU is the other matchup. TCU, of course, is the long favorite here. They're plus 1,600 to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think they're Peter? Are they 12-point underdogs against Michigan?
They're only 8-point underdogs.
8-point underdogs, whatever it is. They're heavy underdogs. A lot of people don't think they really can compete with these teams. Do you think
Yeah.
TCU can at least keep it close? Can they compete?
What's close? Like
Oh,
they
do they
can make
lose
it
with?
like,
All right, do they lose by less than 10 points?
oh, I think they'll probably lose between 10 to 20.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think they can keep it close for maybe like the first half, but man, Michigan, they're a wagon too. They have a quarterback now finally, and I mean, the running game, like that's going to be super hard to stop, and you have a great offensive line. The defense is playing good. Like, if TCU beats them, I would be so shocked, but TCU has been a team though this year. It's been like a fun team to watch. Like they've been close in a lot of games. A lot of their games have come down to the wire and they've gotten it done. Max Duggan's a dog. I got to put that out there. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how great he'll be in the NFL, but as a college quarterback, that guy has a lot of guts. But yeah, I think maybe they can keep it close, but it'll be tough. It's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
So that means a hammer. Michigan -8. Hammer.
I'm taking Michigan in this
Yeah.
game. I think TCU's been a great story. I'm not calling them scrubs or anything like that, but I just feel like Michigan, they just have look offensively, like you said, Carr, it feels like they got the quarterback position under control. They can run the ball really well.
Yep.
Like Michigan in this matchup. I would probably pick them. I'm gonna ballpark a score of like 34-20. The win by like 14, 17, something like that.
I like that. Yeah, I can see that.
So it feels like we're all in other than Peter. So we're all taking we're none of us taking TCU. So me and Carr have Georgia, of course, take on Michigan, and Peter has Ohio State, Michigan, which would be great, I think, for college football. That matchup, especially if it was being the finals, Ohio State, Michigan would be, I think that would be ratings galore, a rematch, and I think that would provide a multitude of storylines, history,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So if that happens, I think that's great for college football. But I think if Georgia, Michigan, which me and Carr are picking, happens, I think you'll get a good game. I still like Georgia in the game, but I feel like it's one that's going to draw ratings. Michigan, their fan base is crazy, passionate, and getting a Big Ten team in there, again, that's not Ohio State. It's different. It's a change of things, so I like it. But I'll take Georgia in that game.
Do you know you can bet on Michigan, Georgia?
Yes.
Ohio
What is that
State,
line?
Michigan, Georgia is plus or 7.5. Georgia.
Okay.
Ohio State,
Yeah.
Michigan is -3. Ohio State. TCU, Georgia is -15.5. Georgia.
Did you say Ohio State would be favored against Michigan?
Yeah, -3.
Wow.
Georgia, TCU,
That's
Georgia's
interesting.
-15.5, and Ohio State, TCU is -10.
Vegas loves Ohio State because you look at the odds. Look, they say that just by looking at what Peter just read here, Vegas thinks that's Ohio State has a better shot to upset Georgia than Michigan does TCU. The TCU does Michigan, and the fact that Peter just said Ohio State would be favored against Michigan for a rematch. So it feels like people are undervaluing Ohio State. So Ohio State might provide the best value in terms of betting. It feels like.
That's kind of crazy to think about.
Well, Michigan's
is, right?
probably second because they have to face TCU, which is probably
Mhm.
like a bye week, I guess.
But I wouldn't call it a bye week, but it's just I don't it. I'm
Well, it's easier
surprised
than
Vegas
Georgia, I
likes
guess.
Ohio State that much. But maybe look, if Ohio State beats Georgia, then I think they're thinking they're probably gonna win the whole thing. I mean, right? You can't if Ohio State loses to Michigan again, that program is gonna be oof.
I mean, losing 2 times in a row already is very demoralizing.
Well, it's
But
about time, right? Michigan's lost like 8 in a row versus Ohio State before that.
Well,
yeah,
they won last year.
Yeah. But
Do you think so? Who would you pick, Carr, in that in your theory of Georgia and Michigan?
I think, man, it's tough. I mean, last season Georgia won 34-11 and pretty much dominated them,
Mhm.
and they were essentially able to wipe out the run. But that's with Jordan Davis in the middle and Nakobe Dean, all these guys they had last season, which they have a good defense this year too, but don't think it's quite as good as last season's defense. Like my gut wants to pick Michigan, but I do feel like that Georgia, if they do win this matchup, like that kind of solidifies them as like, a dynasty, I think, or a potential dynasty in the making here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick Georgia. I mean, I know it might be a little bit of a chalky pick, but I mean they've just they pretty much most of the games they played in this season, they've dominated their opponent, and it's gonna be tough. I think, Michigan, the only way they can win this game is if they can run the ball. That's gonna be huge. And then JJ McCarthy, he's great, and this could, if he can go ahead and he beats TCU and he beats Georgia, and we're talking about the 2024 draft, like that's going to help his stock tremendously. But I don't know. I don't know if I can see it. And I think Georgia is, I think should definitely be favored. And I think they're going to win.
Peter, now you have Ohio State, Michigan. You have the rematch. Who would you pick in the rematch?
I pick Ohio State. If they can beat Georgia, I think they'll go all the way. But no. I mean, no, that's a toss up. No, it's a toss up. Ohio State, Georgia.
I'm not laughing. I get it, Peter. So I think.
All right, I'm gonna invite Carr back on after New Year's when Ohio State wins the whole thing, and then laugh in your face.
Man, I gotta be on here.
Or right after the game, I'll call you.
After the first round, we'll have Carr back on, and we can talk. We'll talk Georgia, Michigan when Ohio State's when Stroud's preparing for the draft.
Jackson Smith and Jigba's already he's already preparing for the draft. So he didn't really play much this season, but
exactly. And yeah. All right, let's talk a little about the Heisman, right, Peter, and Carr here. So the Heisman finalists have been announced. Caleb Williams, of course, quarterback at USC. Max Duggan from TCU, the quarterback. Stetson Bennett, the quarterback from Georgia. And then Peter's guy, who's also Carr's guy. So I don't know who, I guess both of your guys. CJ Stroud, Ohio State. The current odds right now, Caleb Williams is the favorite. He is at minus 2,500.
He's favored by a lot. That's crazy.
Coming into the year, he was plus 600. Max Duggan, he is plus 2,000 to win. He wasn't even given an odds in the summer. Yep. Stetson Bennett is plus 3,000 to win it now. During the summer, he was plus 5,000. CJ Stroud, who was everybody's darling pick, mine included, was plus 200 in the summer. He's now plus 5,000. So Vegas is practically penciling in Caleb Williams. Is that the right decision?
Yeah, I definitely think it's the right decision, man. Caleb Williams he's special, and I really think that he's going to be a great player in the NFL too. I think he's got all the tools, all the intangibles. The guy is just gifted, and he really can be a great quarterback. I really believe that. And this season he was awesome. Transferring from Oklahoma to USC with Lincoln Riley, they picked up right where they left off, and he was just electric. And I really think that he's going to be great. And look, USC, like we talked about earlier, like I don't think a lot of people expected them to make this big of a jump already. And I think, it starts with Caleb Williams, starts with Lincoln Riley, and there's just going to be another quarterback in Lincoln Riley's, career that he's coached to become a Heisman Trophy winner. Think about Kyler Murray, think about Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts was a finalist. Like, now we got Caleb Williams, who might be better than all three of those guys. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about. And, I think Lincoln Riley's been pretty fortunate to have some good quarterbacks, but also you can't take away any credit from him. He's done a fantastic job of really developing those guys. And yeah, I think Caleb Williams would be the right pick.
Yeah, I think he has to be. I agree with you. Look, he's somebody that I kick myself and I'm like, I should have thought a little bit more about him when we kind of talked about our Heisman picks. Well, I'll have to go back and listen. But he just made, looking back on it, I'm like, how did I not think of that? Right. In terms of like a wild card pick, not like I think we all agreed that it was going to come down to CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. Obviously didn't happen that way, but Caleb Williams plays in that great Lincoln Riley system. Like Carr just laid out, USC was good. They were nearly in the college football playoff. I think they were a year ahead of schedule. Caleb Williams played in big games. He succeeded in most big games, and he kept the USC relevant. He has some swagger to him. He's somebody that a lot of people believe that can translate to the next level, and he deserves a Heisman Award. He's going to win the Heisman Award, and Lincoln Riley's, I guess, Heisman hierarchy continues because he should win it.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a runner-up, I'd pick Max Duggan from TCU. I think he is, just from somebody that nobody really had any expectations for, what he was able to do for this TCU team. I just think for that alone, he deserves to be the runner-up.
Definitely.
Peter, do you have a thought?
I mean Caleb Williams. I wonder how high he'll go in the draft. He's a first-round pick, obviously, right?
Yeah, he's eligible in 2024. He might go number one. I could see it. I mean, there's a couple of guys that can compete with him, like UNC's quarterback Drake May is really good. I like him a lot. JJ McCarthy, we talked about him. Like, there's the 2024 quarterback draft class is going to be really special. So yeah, I think there's a strong chance he goes number one, especially if he can repeat what he did this next year. And he's going to be a junior. Like, he's going to be more developed than he was this past season. So yeah, could be some could even maybe. I mean, I don't know if he'll repeat his Heisman because it usually doesn't happen, but he'll definitely be a high favorite again.
Especially if USC is good and relevant and fighting for a college football playoff appearance.
Definitely.
Did we overrate the 2023 class? Guys like CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, who Peter apparently hates now. Like, do we overrate some of those guys? A couple others, or are they kind of just I don't know. Do we overrate them?
No, they're still gonna. I think they're still good. Bryce Young. I mean, Bryce Young really this season didn't really have a wide receiver.
He got hurt too.
Yeah, he got hurt. He didn't have a wide receiver one. Like there wasn't Jalen Waddle or Devonta Smith or anybody like that on Alabama this year. Like they didn't really have one of those like go-to guys like a Jamison Williams or somebody like those guys weren't on Alabama this season. But I think Bryce Young still played good. CJ Stroud I thought played good. Like those two guys I think are going to be good quarterbacks at the next level. But I think the 2024 class, people are sleeping on that. That's going to be I think we're going to be talking about a really good class with that.
Interesting. And I think it's probably going to be led with Caleb Williams, who in all probability, as long as he puts together a good season in 2023, which I think we fully expect in Lincoln Riley's system here. So, and USC should look, USC, again, I'm not going to forecast this, but a year from now, the USC should be in the college football playoff. They absolutely should be there. Caleb Williams should take another step forward in terms of his growth and development as a player. Lincoln Riley has another full year in his system.
Yep.
His recruits guys coming in. They were this close this year. Next year, they have to be there.
Them in Texas.
What is it?
Them in Texas next year.
I mean, I don't know. What do you think of Texas, Carr? We didn't really talk about Texas. I know you were. Bijan Robinson, the running back, he's a stud. He's my first round pick.
Yep.
But Texas continues. I mean, they win 8 games this year. I never bet on Texas in big games, in big spots.
Yeah.
So can't do it.
I mean, I know some people who were, I think, more high on this team. I thought they would at least be ranked. I don't know if they finished as a ranked team. I don't think they did.
They are number 20.
Oh, they're number 20. Okay. So yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of where I thought they would be. Maybe a top 15 team, but yeah, next season is going to be a pretty good, pretty big season for them to just kind of see how, Quinn Ewers, and we even talk about him too, being in that 2024 class. Like, we'll see how he kind of bounces back this upcoming season as well. Yeah. But, you're going to lose Bijan Robinson, and, that's definitely a big loss. But Texas usually can get some pretty good guys to come in and replace them. So,
yeah, I just don't trust Sarkisian and that staff. But look, in big games this year, just going through the schedule, right? They lost to Alabama 20-19. I guess there's no shame in losing to Alabama, but they should have won that game. They had Alabama on the ropes. Bryce Young made one of the best throws he's had of his career to win that game. Big games. So I'm just looking at big games, right? They lost to Oklahoma State 41-34. The game was in Oklahoma State. In Oklahoma State, they were ranked 11. Good team, but if Texas wants to be considered one of these teams, they got to win that game. Texas they beat Kansas State in Kansas State. That's a good win. Kansas State, I think they finished 12 or 13. That's a good win.
Yep.
They were home against TCU and they lost 17-10. That's one that you circle and you're like, wish you had it. And so look, I just routed off 3 losses against big teams. If you make 2 of those wins, Texas is sitting at 10 wins and they're probably in the discussion at least to be a top 10 team, if not something closer. Yep. So, but I do think Texas is a team that's probably going to benefit from that college football playoff expansion. We talked about it when Carr was last on. So, of course, in case you forgot, it's going to move up to 12 teams in the 2024-2025 season. First 4 teams are going to receive a bye. And the 5 seed will play the 12 seed, 6-11, 10-9, 8-7, and so on. Yep. And I think a team like Texas will probably benefit from that system because I personally, I can't see Texas ever, I guess, soon reaching like the top echelon, top 4.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
We will see again how everything kind of unfolds. But overall, Carr, good college football season.
Yeah, I think it's, usually, I think for most of the seasons have been pretty good. This season was definitely, seeing a team like TCU make it all the way and, seeing Michigan again flourish and, just having some teams like Tennessee surprise. And, I think just seeing some of those guys and some of those teams look really, surprised from this season, I think is nice. And it's nice to see some parity. You mentioned earlier with Alabama and Clemson not making it, like it's refreshing, I think, definitely.
So just to kind of, again, it's not a 12-team playoff, but if there was, these would be the first round matchups, right? It would be Alabama, Washington. It would be Tennessee, Penn State. It would be Clemson, USC, and then Utah, Kansas State. I think there's some pretty good games in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I think Alabama would destroy Washington, but like Clemson, Utah would be a pretty good game. I'm sorry, Clemson, USC would be a pretty good game. Utah, Kansas State would be a pretty good game. So at first, I wasn't really in favor of the 12-team playoff, but having the bye for the first 4 teams, I think that'll make things a little bit.
Yeah, I think it gives more of incentive to like,
Yeah.
To get the top 4 seed, I think.
And the
Does
one
that
thing
happen
that
next year?
no, the year after.
No, year after.
2024. Yep.
One thing that I could see them having an issue with, it is going to force more games, which ultimately could lead to more of the higher, the kids that projected to be high first round picks that might decide to pass, which could impact the product. I mean, that's a small issue. I don't know. Look, we saw a couple of players at Ohio State kind of withdraw. We've seen that a couple times. So we'll see if that ends up actually being an issue. But Carr, before we wrap up here, I got to get your opinion on the whole Deion Sanders thing. So Deion Sanders, formerly of the Jackson State HCBU program, he's kind of really molded that program and turned that into pretty much a juggernaut. How many losses he had in his tenure there? Not many.
I'm pretty sure he had 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, this past year he had 0, but I think overall,
He's 27-5.
He's 27-5. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he look. There's been a lot of rumors that would he move into a Power 5 school. He did an interview at Florida State before Jackson State hired him. They didn't hire him. There was rumors that Auburn was in there.
Yep.
Wisconsin, Nebraska. There was a couple others. Pretty much every head coaching vacancy, there was at least rumors about Deion Sanders. And ultimately, after much speculation, he ended up as the head coach of Colorado. Colorado, of course, in the Pac-12. It's a significant change. A lot of people are kind of, I don't want to say not confused. Confused is the wrong word, but surprised. I think a lot of people thought he would stay at Jackson State a little bit longer. But he ends up moving to a Power 5 school, and a lot of these clips are kind of leaking out of his introductory press conference with the team and all that sort of thing. And he's kind of been about, hey, I'm bringing my luggage with me, so get in the transfer portal, this and that. My son's the starting quarterback, yada, yada, yada. So do you think Deion Sanders will succeed at Colorado? He's arguably the most polarizing coach in college football right now. He's somebody that, of course, had so much success in the NFL and the collegiate levels. Players gravitate towards him. Do you think he's going to have success at this level, which, of course, is a much better competition than Jackson State?
Yeah, I mean, look, congratulations to Deion Sanders. I think, like you mentioned, there was a lot of rumors of him moving up to the Power 5 conference, and now it's happening. And I think there could be some success there. I mean, USC and UCLA are both moving out of the Pac-12 at believe the 2024 that takes into
effect. It's the same season with a 12-team playoff.
Right. So I think that could benefit. I mean, Colorado has kind of been a pretty bad team in the Pac-12 for a little while now.
I think they won 2 games this year.
Something like that. It was really bad. But it was funny because like Deion gets into the building, he's talking to the guys, and he's like, look, if you're not good enough, you better go to the transfer portal. And he's already talking about bringing some guys from Jackson State. I think he already said his son Shedeur is his quarterback. Yep. He's probably going to bring Travis Hunter, who's the #1 recruit from last season.
He's the Barstool guy, right?
Yep, Travis Hunter. Yep. He's going to bring him over. And you're already seeing some players.
All cornerbacks should go there, right? Like every single one, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Getting coached by Prime.
Right.
But yeah, and then you see some guys on Twitter, Trey Sanders, who was a former Alabama running back. He was a 5-star recruit at one point. He added Prime and was like, hey, do you have any room over there? So there's definitely players who are interested in joining Deion Sanders. So I do think there's going to be a pretty big turnaround for Colorado. However, I don't know how successful they're going to be. I mean, look, Deion Sanders, there's still questions about how good of a coach he's going to be.
Can he coach? I think we don't know that. Yeah.
We don't really know that because, I mean, look,
Jackson State, it's tough to tell.
Tough to tell. And he's pretty new to it. He hasn't really coached for that long. So, moving up from Jackson State to a Power 5 team in Colorado, how good is he really going to do? So it's just kind of a wait and see. I think if everything falls into place, I think there could be some success there. But again, you just have to. There's a lot of work that needs to be done first. I mean, this team is really bad. There's a lot of bad players on this team, unfortunately. Like, no offense, but you're gonna have to like really build from the ground up here. And I do think it'll probably take a while before we really know if this is gonna work. But it's definitely exciting because there's players who want to go there already. He's already bringing pretty much his entire coaching staff. Like, so we'll just have to see what happens. But it's exciting for college football, and it's a team that people are going to be really tuning into next season to kind of see how they do with Prime as their head coach.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Recruiting will not be the problem in Colorado. Like, he's gonna, like Peter said, if you're a good cornerback, of course, why wouldn't you want to play with him? He's got swag. He's somebody that's relatable to players, somebody that's had success at the next level, has connections at the next level. Like, a lot of that stuff is important. And the one thing that, again, the Carr mentioned, and I totally agree with, can he coach? Like, I really think the jury isn't out on that. Like, Jackson State was a whole different level. His players were 5 times the players of his competition. Like, and this is a totally different ball game. What's he going to do if they don't succeed well? Like, is he going to, it's very interesting. And I don't know, like, I know that whole team is obviously not very good. And he's made some comments that are very, like you said, like, I'm bringing my, what was he saying?
I'm bringing my luggage.
Bring my luggage. Yeah.
I'm bringing my luggage. Like, it's a different style of coaching, like, compared to a guy like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Jimbo Fisher. It's different. And is it going to work? I'm not sure. I think it's either going to go really well or really bad. Like,
I was going to say, this is a boomer bust hire.
This is a boomer bust.
Really
and there was even reports that they asked Colorado's AD, like, do you have enough money to pay Deion Sanders?
Yeah.
Like, no, not yet.
They don't even know.
yet.
They don't even know.
Which means to me that Deion Sanders is probably making $7-8 million a year. And he's probably one of the highest paid state officials in Colorado. So
yeah. But they'll get the money. I mean, like,
yeah.
The NIL deals these players are going to get to. I know
The money
that's
is
been a
flowing.
discussion.
Yeah, money is flowing in Colorado.
Yeah, they're going to be fine. But yeah, it's absolutely insane. It's so funny. Like, remember, I think he had said like one of his safeties on Jackson State, like, he's not bringing him because he's mad at him or something. I forget what he said. It was something along those lines, but I thought it was hilarious.
He's like, I'm not bringing him. So
every turkey
I'm mad at him.
And every
it's boomer
turkey,
bust.
yeah, every turkey on Twitter that says that he like abandoned Jackson State, like, get out of here too.
Dude, you have, I mean, like,
well, no, like, everyone's complaining, like,
yeah,
he was gonna stay there for life. Like, what are you not gonna do? Move up?
No, I completely agree.
Like,
what are you going to stay in a non-Power 5 conference for? I mean, the FCS. Like, if your Power 5 team is wanting to bring you in as the head coach, like, why wouldn't you say yes to that?
Yeah,
everyone's like, you promised us you'd stay. Like, what?
Yeah, I'm sure the program itself is crushed because he was such a draw there. Like, if you're an official at Jackson State, you're gonna be like, like, this stinks.
Yeah, back to being irrelevant. Sorry, but
seriously, like, back to never being on TV ever again. Like, who are you? Like, seriously, that's it.
Yeah,
and that's tough. But I think Sanders. I'm glad he didn't go to the SEC because then I would have thought his chances were slim to none.
Oh, if he went to Auburn, oof.
Yeah, I thought there was a shot because Charles Barkley was really talking up like, oh, like, I have a good idea who's going to be the next coach and like this and that, and I was like, oh, it's going to be Deion Sanders. Like, but I think.
Yeah.
You can't put him in a situation like that. Like, that would have been that's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah, and if he succeeds, like, he's probably gonna move to
then whatever. Yeah, then he can go to Auburn, sure.
Yeah. So, this is kind of his second gig.
But if he doesn't, like, what happens if they go, like, I don't expect them to do well next year. Like, let's say they go 4-8. Like, how is he gonna react? Because he's never had anything like that in his life in terms of from the coaching perspective. He's 27-5 in Jackson State. Like, when things don't go as well and he's completely outmanned and overmatched, I'm very curious to see how he deals with adversity. We've never seen that from Deion Sanders yet. And I'm rooting for him. I hope it works out, but I think there'll be some growing pains. There are going to be some great quotes at the podium. That is going to be.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be
zero filters, zero, like, transparency to the tens. Like, oh, yeah.
He's going to be dropping some F-bombs. Like,
when things don't go well, we bleeping suck. This guy bleeping sucks. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
All right, Peter. So why don't we wrap up the show and do 5 questions not about football starring Brandon Carr. So, Carr.
Awesome.
Give you 5 rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
So Peter, would you like to go first?
Sure. Number 1, Carr, what do you want for Christmas?
What do I want for Christmas? I mean, usually I just ask for like money from my parents. Like, who doesn't want money? You know,
He wants to know
Chester's
what would you buy with your money?
what would I buy with my money? I want to fucking save it, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, if I like had to buy something, I need some AirPods.
Oh, okay. So Carr
So
wants
we'll go with
AirPods.
that.
So if you're listening, buy Carr some AirPods. Send
Need
send
some
him up.
AirPods.
Send him up to send him up to Dedham. All
I'll
right.
go to the Apple store. Give me
Yeah.
some
My question to you is, what is your favorite candy?
Reese's, without
Reese's.
question.
Okay.
Reese's peanut butter cups are fire.
Damn, he didn't even hesitate. He was
No
freaking ready.
question. No
You
question.
remember the last time we had him and who was it? Him and Noah?
Him
Yeah.
and Noah, they
Oh
couldn't
my
answer
God.
the
We
question.
were
Noah
awful,
couldn't do it.
dude.
No, Noah could not do it. Noah was like, dude,
We were
no.
awful at that.
All right, Peter, you're up.
Number 3, what's your favorite Christmas song?
Oh my god. I would say Jingle Bell Rock.
Jingle
okay.
bell, jingle bell, jingle.
Question
Catchy.
4. What is
Catchy.
your favorite Christmas movie
Oh man.
or holiday movie in general?
I gotta go with Elf.
Yeah,
I feel like
mine
that's
too.
a
Yep.
popular answer, but it's great.
Okay. All right, Peter, I got question 5, right?
Yep.
All right, Peter. Carr, question 5. This one, I'm going to the NBA world, right? So we haven't
Okay.
really, again, this isn't about football, so I can ask this. So
You can.
5 questions not about football. All right, so what is your take on the Celtics so far? Arguably the best team in the NBA. If there are any, so my question is, I think we had you on for the NBA preview show. I think,
Yep.
who'd you pick? Do you remember?
Like, who did I pick
Who'd you pick to
for?
win the finals? Do you remember?
The Bucs,
I think it was
right?
Denver. I think it was Denver.
Oh, it wasn't the Bucs?
Remember? Okay. So, you know, I'll just
No.
I'll ask a broad question then, because I wasn't sure who it was. What is your take on the NBA season so far?
I mean, I can't complain with the Celtics being 20-5 right now. They're playing great. I mean, like you think about the adversity they had to face this offseason with Ime Udoka and Joe Mazzulla comes in and they're playing maybe even better than they were last season. Like it's kind of crazy to think about. The Lakers take that I said that they weren't making the playoffs. They're 10-12 right now. They're 13th in the West. So maybe that's working a little bit, but Anthony Davis has been playing at an absolute crazy level lately. So I don't know how true that's going to stay, but yeah. So I would say it's been a solid NBA
Solid
season.
NBA season. He's
Can't complain about the
He's happy
Celtics.
the Lakers are bad. Can't complain about the Celtics.
And an aside, Jay, you got to stop winning in fantasy basketball.
Dude, I'm a wagon.
Oh,
dude.
he's killing all
I'm
of
a
us.
wagon.
Man.
Actually, Carr almost beat me. A couple weeks
I
ago, I beat
lost
Carr by
because
2
Ben,
points.
I lost because Ben Simmons didn't play.
Ben Simmons didn't play.
I won 4 in a row, and I'm still in like 4th place. I'm like, bro, how are you 7-0?
Yeah, I'm playing you this. I'm playing you this week, Peter. I think.
Oh, really? Cool.
I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah, Carr's a
Good
good team. I think he's got the second most points in the league. I think he's right behind.
I have no
us.
Joel Embiid, so
Oh,
I'm. Who do I have? I have Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been a monster. DeMar DeRozan. Trying to think who else I have. That's been really good. I feel like I have like another player that was
Jake's a little bleep
really
too
good.
because he won't trade me LaMelo Ball for anything, and he's been out for
Hey.
every game except like 2.
Shout out to Goldberg though. That guy is it's constantly on the
guy's on the
wire.
wire, dude. That guy's on.
Dude, every time I go to recent activity, it's like Team Bullseye is
Yep.
dropping a player, adding a player.
And
That
you know,
guy's
it's
locked
ironic
in.
because shout out to Goldberg. I know he listens every week. We appreciate him. But
Shout out to Goldberg.
he's gonna. So we have a fantasy football league back with our friends from high school, and it's a punishment league. So if he finished last, he clinched this week. He clinched finishing in last. Peter, I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, because even if he wins and Evan loses, Evan has 300 more points than him. So he is going to finish in last. So it'll be the second time in 3 years he finishes last.
What's his punishment?
So he is, I'll read it to you as it was described.
Oh boy.
Again, things can get altered if he, so this is the irony here. So we all put the punishments in a pile, right? And each person writes one and picks. He got his own one that he wrote. So his was to get drenched in honey by the winner and have a bucket of feathers dumped on him and then take a picture with the winner.
Oh my god, that is awful, dude.
So I don't know if
oh
we're gonna go the
man.
honey route. I mean, I'm open to changing the honey route because that's gonna be sticky.
It's gonna be
Here.
expensive.
I mean, that's getting like tethered. What is it? Tarred and tethered. Yeah.
I think his whole idea was the feathers thing. Like I think that was a whole the honey and the feathers. So I don't know if it's gonna be altered at all. So yeah, so you'll see Sticky Jake in the summer.
Hopefully,
Sorry, Goldberg, I'm
hopefully
sorry.
I win. That'd be amazing. I want to do that.
Yeah, you might win. I mean, in that league,
I
I didn't
won't.
finish last. The goal was to not finish last. I didn't finish last, so
That's always the goal. In that
that's
league.
always the goal. But so yeah,
Yep.
but I find it funny that Goldberg is completely going ham in this basketball league. Every day he's on the wire.
He's on the wire. I'm like, damn, okay, I see you.
Yeah, like he is on the wire. But
Respect.
I'm starting to become beatable. Paul George is hurt. Oh, he just came back. Bradley Beal's hurt. John Collins is hurt.
Yeah.
Marcus Morris is hurt. So hey, who knows? So we'll
Freaking
see.
Cade Cunningham hurt.
Oh,
Damn you, Noah.
Sorry,
damn
man.
you,
Noah, what
Noah.
the hell,
You
man?
Pistons suck, dude.
Yes. Freaking
right.
Pistons.
All right, Carr, thank you as always for coming on. Again, we'll have you on in maybe first week of January, talk about the
Yeah.
college football playoff. In terms of the finals itself, we can kind of break down that game, break down the semifinals of the college football playoff. So, Peter, for us next week, we will continue to break down the NFL season. Shocker. We will get into the World Cup. And, Peter, maybe we can talk about some Major League Baseball. We haven't done that in a while.
Hot stove is picking up.
Hot Stove finally is picking up. So, I think
Yep.
next week could be the week we finally get back to it.
Screw you, Nate. Jacob the Grum's on the stupid Rangers. Stay hot.